So new moves happened in the NBA. I mean, it was only some. I'm not gonna promise, some breaking news, but definitely we got some moves that I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about Dallas. Wow, Dallas has had a great offseason. They've been phenomenal, if I'm being honest. The first thing they did was sign Kyrie, get him on his extension, not have to worry about him. And honestly, I think that's good. You can't lose that star caliber player for nothing. And even if next season, if it doesn't work, Kyrie's still going to drop 30 on you. And Kyrie's still going to get his points up and his scoring up. So maybe if he's not the point guard for you, it's going to be good because you're going to have an asset which is not going to falter since Kyrie is like 29 years old. And also, you get the luxury of having this greatly skilled point guard, which even if it doesn't work with Luka, you know that you tried, right? And you know that a backcourt duo maybe is not the thing for Luka. Maybe he just is way too ball dominant for that, you know? So that was one of the first moves. Then they offered Matisse Thybulle 3 years, 33 million. Right, the Blazers have matched the offer, and this is why I hate Portland. It's like, yo, you don't need Matisse Thybulle, and he's not gonna play many minutes for your franchise when you already got four point guards or shooting guards who actually play a lot of minutes, which is Shaden Sharp, Anthony Simons, Damian Lillard, and now Scoot Henderson. You see, this is why, in my opinion, Portland is the worst team in the NBA by far. But I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to just keep it pushing because, I'm going to just say that if Matisse does end up in Dallas, right, then in my opinion, he will be much better there, as Dallas, what they need is defense. And actually, talking about that, they did trade for defense. They had a 3-team deal with the Celtics where the Mavs get Grant Williams, the Spurs get Reggie Bullock, and an unprotected 2023 Dallas swap, and the Celtics get multiple second-round picks. In my opinion, this is one of the best moves that happened. Dallas was a team which needed a guy who could knock down shots, play defense, and play his role, right? Like, they didn't need more guys like Christian Wood or like all these guards which they had, which they thought that they were the best players on the team. In my opinion, trading Reggie Bullock away for Grant Williams works well. Even though Reggie Bullock has provided some good stuff for you in the past, it's obvious that Grant Williams has been to the finals. He has much more experience. He's had great games in the playoffs. And he's just one of those guys where it's like, even if it doesn't go well with him, he's at least consistent with the fact that he's going to defend a lot, he's going to play a great amount of games, and he's going to knock that three down if you leave him wide open. And that's exactly what Dallas needs. They don't need more superstars. They need guys like Matisse Thybulle. They need guys like Grant Williams, who, even if all is bad, they're at least going to, get some good defensive stops. So for Dallas right now, I'm liking their offseason. I'm liking the way that they've conducted themselves. They have now a defensive player who can stretch the floor in Grant Williams. They have now Kyrie and Luka under contract. And they have Christian Wood, JaVale McGee, Reggie Bullock, Maxi Kleber, and they have a couple of guys which they can trust in to at least put in some quality minutes or at least some valuable minutes at this position. Something else I wanted to talk about was that Dejounte Murray got $120 million. In my opinion, I like this contract because it keeps Trey and Dejounte together. Even though they didn't work a lot throughout these seasons, I do believe that that's because the Atlanta in general had problems, and because they had not found a coach which could run good plays for them. In my opinion, if now they get a better coach He's getting around 30 million a year, and for an all-star caliber player, in my opinion, that's cheap. I like the deal that he got. He's getting a lot of money. He's staying for 4 years, and it's just like any other contract in the league, where it's like if you don't end up liking that you did this contract, you can always trade him away to a team who might want him, right? Like the Heat right now, if they don't get Dame, they're going to be desperate for a point guard. And bringing, let's say, a Tyler Hero or a Kyle Lowry or someone like that to Atlanta would make Trae Young a much better player. So, in my opinion, it really makes sense to give Dejounte a contract. That way he can't walk for nothing. And that way, as a franchise, you know that at least you got your cornerstone and your backcourt set. I like what Atlanta's done this offseason. They got rid of John Collins, and I think they're going to give more minutes to the guys off the bench and the guys who are contributors. I would like to see more DeAndre Hunter get involved in Onyeka Okongwu. And obviously, Clint Capella, when activated by a good point guard, is one of the best players in the league when it comes to just being effective, rebounding, and scoring. So, in my opinion, I do believe that I like what Atlanta has done. Other moves that we can talk about, I mean, there's not many more, unless you guys want me to talk about the very niche moves, right? But what I do believe is that the league has changed for the better, and I believe that now we're seeing. So, yeah, and the only thing that I do want to say right now with all the trades and moves that have been happening is, who are the real contenders next year? Like, we have the Nuggets, just because they won it this year. They lost Bruce Brown. I think that's huge, but I'm pretty sure that Christian Braun is going to take a big enough of a jump to substitute that, or at least help. But who are the real contenders next year? Like, I was thinking about this, and it's like the real contenders next year are the Lakers, because they barely changed their roster and they ended the season with the best record in the West when it comes to in the last stretch of games. Wait, that's just Western Conference. Let me run it back. So the contenders next year are Boston, the Boston Celtics with KP now, the Milwaukee Bucks with all the moves that they've done and their guys getting new contracts, the Denver Nuggets because they just won the championship, and maybe the Lakers because they went to the conference finals and they have a better team this year, right? And if we throw one wild card pick, the Suns, because they're a wild card because they could either be really good or really bad. So when we look at the contenders this year, there's not that many. And honestly, that makes it really interesting for next season. It's like there's a lot of good teams. The Sacramento is great, Miami's great, and all these teams, but who are really the contenders in this league? And that's just a question which we're going to have to see. Is Atlanta better without John Collins? Can they figure it out? Is Nick Nurse going to help the 76ers win a championship? Was Frank Vogel the solution? Is one of these young teams going to make a run? Are the Rockets actually going to be good with that new squad that they built who can't shoot 50% from the field or 40%? And what teams are going to miss the playoffs? It seems like the teams have made such big pushes this year that now it just seems like who is going to miss it? Like Washington, definitely. The Spurs are most likely going to miss it, right? The Pistons, the Pacers, but they have Tyrese. So it's like it's become a thing in the league of it's like when all these teams got so good, there's only so many playoff spots to fill up with that. So for next season, we gotta see how the standings.